there were, for whatever reason, 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground at Utah Valley University the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
I totally agree with that whole extending grace part because honestly, every single person walking this planet deserves some kind of grace. But let's get into what everyone's been waiting for. Erika Kirk, the wife of the late Charlie Kirk, has finally broken her silence in a public interview. This is the first time she's spoken out in nearly 2 months since Charlie's tragic passing, and what she revealed has people absolutely buzzing. In this sit-down, Erika finally addressed all the whispers, the rumors, and yes, the theories surrounding what really went down that day. These same theories have been stirred up by Candace Owens, and now Erika's response is shaking things up like never before. The tension between the two narratives is wild, and people are seriously divided. Some believe her every word, while others think she's trying to rewrite history. We're diving deep into this interview, breaking down Erika's words, her tone, and her expressions, and matching it with what Candace Owens has been claiming about that fateful day. This conversation is already exploding online, and everyone's trying to figure out if Erika just revealed something without realizing it, or if this was all part of a carefully planned move.
But where my heart is just asking for some grace is for the ones who were there that day.
But before we go further, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your people. Let's get into this story together because it's getting way too real. Now, here's what caught my attention. Erika didn't call them conspiracy theories. She just called them theories. That sounds small, but it's actually huge. It's like she's saying these ideas might hold some truth. She went on to say that when the news first broke, she completely shut down. And honestly, who wouldn't? If that were me, I'd turn my phone off too. If that were me, my phone would be on silent, no doubt. I'd be with my kids just trying to breathe and make sense of it all. And honestly, anyone in that kind of situation would probably do the same thing Erika started opening up about grief, how everyone handles it differently, and how she doesn't blame people for trying to piece together something that still feels completely unreal. She's right about one thing, none of this makes sense. The more you think about it, the heavier it feels. And she even brought up faith, referencing that moment in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7. Cast your cares on him, for he cares about you. It was her way of saying we can't carry this pain alone, and to be fair, she's got a point. People are lost in the shock of it all, trying to find clarity where there's only confusion. Everyone's still stuck on the same questions on how did this happen and why.
Do you think they've caught your husband's killer?
So, something I'm so grateful for is that we have one of the most incredible teams for this case. I would never wish it upon anybody to have to go through what we are going through.
But as she said, you've got to lean on faith, not just your own understanding, even when nothing adds up. Still, let's be real, that's easier said than done, especially when emotions are running high and the story keeps twisting in new directions. And that's where things get messy. Because extending grace sounds beautiful in theory, but in practice, it's tough. People want truth before forgiveness. They want facts before faith. And when we don't even know all the details, when so many questions remain unanswered, and when the story keeps shifting every few weeks, people are naturally going to fill in the blank. So how do you extend grace to people who might have had deeper involvement or hidden knowledge about what really went down? That's the part that hits hardest. Millions are struggling with that same thought right now, and honestly, it's hard to blame them. And let's not forget, one of the loudest voices demanding clarity from day one has been Candace Owens. She's not just speculating, she's pressing for transparency, asking questions others are too scared to voice. And now people are wondering, is she crossing a line, or is she the only one bold enough to say what everyone's thinking? People are seriously starting to ask, why is Candace Owens the only one digging this deep? Where's that same energy from the people who were actually there that day? And if there's really a professional team handling the investigation, then why aren't they being more transparent? Why aren't they speaking up as loudly as Candace?
To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
There's other theories swirling around about Charlie's assassination.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
When everything happened, my phone died and became a black hole. I just didn't turn it on for weeks on end. I've intentionally insulated myself.
The silence is what's making everyone uneasy. Now look, nobody's saying we need to know every single move investigators make, but come on. The complete lack of updates is strange. Weeks have gone by, And still, nothing. No press briefings, no official statements, just silence. It's no wonder the public is confused. And let me be clear, I'm not here to say I believe or don't believe Erika Kirk. I'm not calling her fake or saying she's lying, but something about the way she's been carrying herself has people divided. Some say she looks strong and composed, while others feel like she's performing calm instead of living through chaos. So what do you think? How do you feel she's handled herself through all of this? Drop your thoughts below because this is a tough one to unpack. Again, I'm trying to stay balanced here because truthfully, I don't know her like that. I don't know her heart, and grief doesn't look the same for everyone. Some people cry in public, others shut down completely, and some throw themselves into work to avoid breaking down. But still, and it's fair to say that something about this timeline doesn't fully add up. Where's the raw emotion? Why speak out publicly so soon? Why the calm demeanor when the whole world's falling apart around her? These are valid questions and not hate, not slander, just human curiosity. When people notice inconsistencies, it doesn't make them conspiracy theorists. It makes them observant, trying to find truth in a mess of confusion.
Because I need to guard my heart, and I need to be there for my kids, and I need to be there for Turning Point. And what I've realized through all of this is that everyone grieves differently. Everyone is trying to figure out, and I don't blame them, how does this happen? How does somebody become so radicalized where they can justify this in their own head? We just lost one of the greatest voices of our generation. Why?
And that's exactly why Candace Owens keeps trending, because she's asking what no one else dares to. And then came her latest claim, and this one shook everything. She said there were 12 Israeli cell phones physically present at the university on the exact day of the tragedy. No VPNs, no rerouted data, just raw connections traced directly back to Israel. That's not a small detail, that's massive. If true, it completely changes the scope of what people thought they knew. How did those devices end up there? Why hasn't this been mentioned anywhere in official reports? And why did it take an independent voice like Candace to bring it up 2 months later? According to her, the NSA knows, high-ranking officials know, even Kash Patel allegedly knows, and yet nobody wants this info going public. She claims the silence is intentional, that higher-ups are keeping everything quiet for a reason. Now, could it be innocent? Sure, maybe they were exchange students or international visitors who happened to be on campus, that's possible, but what if it's not? What if those connections weren't accidental? What if someone was orchestrating something from behind the scenes? It's a chilling thought, but that's exactly why people can't stop watching this unfold, because every new piece of information raises bigger, scarier questions. And at this point, the public just wants the truth. When Candace dropped that bomb about the 12 Israeli cell phones being traced to the university that same day, it was like the internet exploded overnight.
It's behind, like, everyone's trying to process this. And I respect that. But where my heart is just asking for some grace is for the ones who were there that day. They have to relive that every single day.
People didn't even know how to react. Some were stunned into silence, others started connecting dots at lightning speed. Within hours, forums, podcasts, and comment sections were flooded with questions, theories, and wild speculation. Everyone wanted to know how something this big could have been kept hidden for so long. And here's where things get even stranger. Candace didn't just stop there. She went further, saying that the data logs showed active communication between some of those devices and servers tied to defense contractors. She didn't name names, but she said the connections were too consistent to ignore. That line alone sent chills down people's spines. Because if that's true, we're not just talking about a few random phones. We're talking about a potential international link that no one wants to acknowledge. Now, let's slow it down and really think about what that means. If Candace's information is real, then it suggests there were outside entities monitoring or possibly communicating during the same time frame that tragedy struck. That's not something that just happens by coincidence. And yet, no major outlet has touched the story, not one. It's like an invisible wall went up the second she spoke. Meanwhile, Erika Kirk's reaction to this part has raised eyebrows too. When asked about Candace's claims, she didn't dismiss them. She just said she wasn't aware of those details and didn't want to speculate on unverified information. To some, that sounded calm and wise, but to others, it sounded rehearsed, like someone who knew more than they were letting on. Because let's be honest, if someone mentioned something that serious about—
He didn't die in a car accident. He didn't die from cancer. He was assassinated. And the difference between this and previous assassinations in this country is there was no social media. There's no AI. I can tell you how many fake images are out there of all of this. And again, my only request is that
The day your husband lost his life, wouldn't you be furious? Wouldn't you demand answers immediately? Instead, Erika seemed collected, even polished. She repeated her earlier line about trusting the process and allowing investigators to do their jobs. But the thing is, that process feels invisible to the public. Nobody knows who's investigating what or what progress, if any, has been made. So when she asks people to have faith in a process that no one can see, it just fuels more suspicion. And here's another layer that's making people uneasy. Insiders have quietly mentioned that Turning Point's internal communications were wiped right after the tragedy. Emails, call logs, and certain chat threads reportedly disappeared. Officials claimed it was part of a scheduled data purge.
just please pray and consider and think about whatever you put online, because it's going to impact his kids in the future. I don't want my kids to go on the internet one day when they're older and see things that it's just, we're all trying to process this in their own way, and I appreciate that. But just some grace would be nice.
But the timing couldn't have been worse. Fans online immediately noticed that the wipeout happened just 3 days before Candace released her findings. Coincidence? Maybe. But at this point, coincidences are starting to sound like patterns. Some online commentators even believe that Candace herself has been threatened to back off. She hinted at pressure from above, saying during one of her live streams, "It's not about protecting the truth, it's about protecting the image." That one sentence had everyone talking. What image? Whose reputation? Is she referring to Erika, Turning Point USA, or someone even higher up in the political food chain? Nobody knows, but the mystery keeps deepening by the day. And let's talk about the public reaction, because it's divided right down the middle. On one side, you have people praising Erika for staying strong, keeping her composure, and showing faith despite the chaos. They say she's doing what any devoted spouse and leader would, keeping it together for her family and her organization.
Here's some explosive news for you that I can now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, confirm. Putting my name on this. Not only can I confirm this, but I can publicly challenge the very Zionist, occupied Trump administration, who is aware of this, to deny it, to come out and say, no, that's not true. There were, for whatever reason, 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground.
But on the other side, there's a growing crowd that feels she's too calm, that she's playing a part rather than living the pain. Some even describe her interviews as emotionally airbrushed, like every word is being carefully filtered to protect someone or something. Meanwhile, Candace has become both a hero and a villain in this entire saga. Her supporters see her as fearless, the only person bold enough to question powerful people and institutions that others tiptoe around, but her critics say she's stirring the pot, turning grief into spectacle, and pushing theories that could put innocent people at risk. One media analyst put it bluntly, Candace is either uncovering the truth or burning the whole house down to find it. And it doesn't stop there. People have started dissecting footage from the days before and after the tragedy. They noticed that Erika's security details suddenly doubled after Candace's first claims went public. They also noticed that several Turning Point members stopped posting entirely. Accounts that used to be active daily just went dark.
At Utah Valley University, the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. This has completely spooked the people that are very high up in government. Now, to be clear, I don't mean that there were 12 VPNs that were switched and routed through Israel on that day. I mean that there were 12.
It's almost as if a silent order went out for everyone to stay quiet. Adding even more confusion, a whistleblower who claimed to be part of the original Turning Point communications team posted an anonymous thread saying that certain messages from the day in question were flagged classified by an external party. The thread vanished within 24 hours, but screenshots spread fast. Some users alleged that those flagged messages mentioned a foreign visitor list connected to the same event Erika attended that morning again. None of this has been confirmed, but it's the silence that's deafening. People want transparency. They want someone, anyone, to explain what's going on. Because if Candace's claims have even a grain of truth, this isn't just a family tragedy anymore. It's a web of power, secrecy, and influence reaching far beyond what anyone expected. And while Erika continues to ask for peace and forgiveness, the questions keep piling up. Every new piece of information only deepens the mystery. If she's innocent, why isn't she pushing for those answers herself? Why keep telling people to trust the process when that process refuses to show its face?
personal cell phone accounts that were opened in Israel, and they were on the ground on September 10th at Utah Valley University when Charlie was shot. Now, the NSA knows this. Kash Patel knows this. People in the current administration know this, and they are desperate for some reason to stop that information from being released to the public. Why?
The truth is, silence creates suspicion. And now that Candace has put these bold accusations on the table, the public's patience is wearing thin. People don't just want faith, they want facts. They want names, timelines, and proof. Because right now, it feels like everyone's walking in circles while the real story sits locked behind closed doors. The entire situation feels like a movie, only this one's real, raw, and unfolding in real time. Each new claim adds another piece to the puzzle, and every denial makes people dig even deeper. And whether you believe Candace or not, you can't deny that she's cracked something open that can't easily be closed again. Something's brewing here, and it's bigger than anyone expected. Candace might not be everyone's favorite person right now, but she's absolutely right about one thing. If there's nothing to hide, then why all the secrecy? That's the question sitting heavy in everyone's mind, and nobody in charge seems eager to answer it. Of course, grief is real. It's raw, unpredictable, and different for everyone, but truth is real too, and at this point it feels like the truth is being locked away while people are told to just move on. Almost 2 months have passed, and instead of closure, all we keep getting is confusion. Silence has replaced clarity, and the few people actually trying to make sense of this are being treated like troublemakers. That's what makes Candace's persistence stand out. Whether people love her or can't stand her, she's still the only one asking the hard questions that everyone else avoids. She's pulling on threads that could unravel something massive, and for that she's either incredibly brave or dangerously close to something people don't want exposed. The strange part is no one else with real influence is matching her urgency.
Because they're the most transparent administration ever? Is that why? Is this like Jeffrey Epstein transparency that we're getting? Because that's what it feels like. It always seems that on the topic of this one nation that's only the size of New Jersey and has done nothing wrong ever and was truly the greatest friend to Charlie right up until the very end, never put any pressure on him, suddenly everybody abandoned their values.
Not the organizations, not the insiders, not even the people who were there that day. That silence feels calculated. And honestly, the more you look at it, the harder it gets to just shrug it off. Now, let me be real. I don't know who's right or wrong. I'm not pretending to have the answers because I don't. When I first started following this situation, I thought Candace was walking a righteous path, trying to find truth with conviction, but now, watching her recent videos, it feels like she's getting pulled deeper into something that's starting to look like a maze. She's chasing leads that might be real, or they might be bait. Either way, she's pushing boundaries that make powerful people nervous. Still, one thing she said sticks with me: whatever's done in the dark will come to light. That's not just a quote, that's a warning wrapped in faith. It reminds people that cover-ups never last forever. You can bury evidence, silence voices, and rewrite timelines, but truth has a way of slipping through cracks you didn't even know existed. And that's what keeps everyone on edge right now, because if Candace is even halfway right, then we're dealing with something much bigger than anyone expected.
True friends of Charlie Kirk, right? Standing on that stage, giving him a speech, hiding this. Now, what would be the reason that they wanted to keep that information under wraps? And why does it have people at the very top spooked? If there's nothing to hide, then there's nothing to hide. Now, let's play devil's advocate. And to be clear, we are now advocating for the devil when we do this. Maybe the cell phones belonged to some exchange students. It's possible.
Before we move on, I want to pause on something that feels symbolic about this entire situation. Candace mentioned Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. That line hit differently this time. It's not about judgment, it's about responsibility. When something feels off, when the light dims and people stop asking questions, it's the duty of anyone who believes in truth to pull that curtain back, even if it makes others uncomfortable. That's what Candace seems to be doing. She's refusing to sit quietly, refusing to play nice with narratives that don't make sense. And honestly, whether her approach is perfect or messy, she's sparking conversations that people in power hoped would fade away. But here's the hard truth. Exposing darkness isn't glamorous. It's exhausting. It isolates you. It makes enemies out of people who once called you a friend. And that might be exactly what's happening to Candace right now. She's standing in a spotlight that burns, surrounded by whispers, while the people she's challenging pretend they can't hear her. And maybe that's the point. Maybe this isn't just about one tragedy anymore.
Maybe 12 Israelis were touring UVU on that day because, I don't know, Utah Valley University is a place where they maybe wanted to attend in the future. Maybe 12 American students had Israeli-based cell phones because they had just come back from a summer abroad program and they wanted to keep their Israeli cell phones running.
Maybe it's about a system that's too comfortable with silence, too scared of exposure, and too dependent on people staying quiet. Because if even one piece of this puzzle turns out to be true, it could send shockwaves through more than just one organization. It could change everything. Still, the hardest part is knowing where faith fits into all of this. Because while people like Candace are fighting to bring things into the light, others are using faith as a shield to avoid accountability. And that's where this entire story takes a dangerous turn, when belief becomes a mask and trust becomes a tool. The deeper this goes, the more it feels like we're standing at a crossroads. Candace is choosing confrontation, while Erika is choosing calm. One is demanding light, the other asking for patience, and the world's stuck in between, trying to decide who's walking in truth and who's hiding behind it. But make no mistake, as this storm isn't over yet. Every day, more people are waking up, asking new questions, rewatching old footage, and realizing just how much doesn't add up. And the louder that truth-seeking energy gets, the harder it'll be for anyone to keep things buried. So while Candace keeps pressing forward, we have to keep watching, listening, and questioning everything, because it feels like the next revelation could blow this entire story wide open.
When they got back home to Utah, I don't know, but I'd like to know. In fact, we need to know the answer to this question. Why are they hiding this information? And why and who did those 12 Israeli cell phones belong to? Okay? I don't like secrets. I don't like secrets, especially when they pertain to the public execution of my friend Charlie Kirk.
Candace might dive a little too deep sometimes, but at least she's asking the hard questions when everyone else stays quiet. She's trying to bring light to the darkness, and that's something we can't ignore. Still, as we search for answers, we've got to remember to stay grounded in faith. Let's keep praying for truth, for clarity, and for everyone affected by this tragedy, especially Erika Kirk and her children. We don't know what battles they're fighting inside, and it's not our place to judge their pain. Seek truth, yes, but don't let that search turn into hate or gossip. Keep your heart clean and your spirit steady, because truth without compassion only breeds more darkness. Keep God first. Stay discerning, and don't let curiosity pull you off your path. The truth will come out. It always does. And when it does, it'll set people free. So tell me how you feel about this situation down in the comments. And if you're vibing with this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep growing, keep learning, and keep shining light where others won't. See you on the next one.